When Rigathi Gachagua called for a press conference after his admission in the hospital, he made startling allegations that twice some people, very diabolic, have tried to kill him. And he says he feels his life is in danger, not only his life, but that of the whole family. He also revealed that his security has been taken away, further exposing the family. He was reading mischief in the manner in which the Kithure Kindiki exercise and process is being hurried. And he was also saying that the Ruto is doing things that are very suspicious. For example, forcing 108 members of his staff or the staff in the office of the deputy president to go on compulsory leave. And he warned by saying that if anything happens to his life or anything happens to the life of any member of his family, then William Ruto will solely be responsible. But then the question that begs, and I had him being questioned, why the difference between him and his boss? And his answer was very simple, that William Ruto seems to be a bully in the cabinet and everywhere. He wants to force down the throat of people things that are very unpopular. And Rigathi says that there isn't any one person there who can look at Ruto in the eyes and tell him, boss, I don't think this is correct. Kenyans don't like this. And he says that he is the only person who always looks at William Ruto and tells him, we voted on a platform of this and this, but we seems to be deviating from the very path that we had promised Kenyans. And he's saying that William Ruto is one person who does not want anybody to challenge him. Now, he mentioned things like the finance bill, he mentioned the housing, he mentioned, I think, a few things that he feels William Ruto is forcing down the throat of Kenyans. And after that speech, the communication team around the deputy president, around the president, State House communication team, went and retrieved some old videos where Rigathi Gachagua supported the housing, debate, and he was urging people to support the housing because it would create jobs. They also, retrieved where Rigathi Gachagua is in support of the finance bill. And I want us to look at Rigathi Gachagua, saying that the president hates him because he tells him the truth, and where he is supporting the finance bill.
It's the most unfortunate thing that has ever happened in this country. That you can be so vicious to a man who helped you to be president. And the crime of this man, telling you the truth. Don't evict people without compensation, Mr. President. Mr. President, don't overtax people. You are killing them, you are killing their businesses. Don't force a housing program on people. If people do not own these houses, don't force them. My only problem with the president is just being truthful, because nobody else can tell him. The framers of the 2010 Constitution wanted a deputy president who is elected as a buffer who can stand for the people.
I am very happy that the leadership, especially of this region where we come from, is all aligned. Let us support the finance bill. Let us support the housing fund, because watoto wetu tunasomesha, wanatoka kwa shule hawana kazi, mafundi wako wanashida pale kwa river wanangoja. The whole housing thing has two components. The lesser component is getting houses for Kenyans to stop living in slums. That need is about 30%. But the whole component of housing, 70%, is to create employment for our young people so that they have work to do. Sasa wewe ukipinga na kwa constituency kumejaa vijana hawana kazi, tunataka kuwatafutia kazi, na hao vijana hakuna mtu anawaambia watakatwa chochote kwa sababu hana mshahara. So we are even telling wananchi hawa ya kawaida, don't bother about hii watu wanapiga kelele. Wewe hakuna mtu anakukata pesa kwa sababu huna kazi. Siku utapata kazi ndio utakatwa, so utapiga kelele wakati hiyo.
Shelter is a constitutional requirement. We want Kenyans to have shelter. And not just shelter, but dignified shelter with proper sanitation so that people can be dignified. Number two, that strategy, and we need your support, is also to create employment for our young people. I am aware that people have gone to court to try to suspend the housing levy and to sabotage the housing program. Much as we respect the independence of the judiciary, I want to request our judges to exercise judicial discretion and not sabotage that program.
Now, State House communication team is accusing Rigathi Gachagua of playing cheap politics, of being a hypocrite and a pretender, because they are saying that it is indeed true that Rigathi Gachagua supported the finance bill because the records are there. And they're asking, why is Rigathi now negating what he had pledged, and he was telling people, please support this. And I want you to be the judge. I want us to take a moment and discuss this. Number one, let us agree that Rigathi Gachagua is a politician. And you know the nature of our politics. Sometimes we are dishonest. That is a fact. Sometimes we speak things that we know will resonate with the people at that particular moment, even though we know that the worst person, the worst culprit in just saying things to get away with them is our president. Sometimes even reading, Bible scriptures that are not there. So number one, we agree that Rigathi Gachagua said those words and he was supporting it. But then can we look at when was it? And did he really change? And if he did, why? Was he just speaking to get away with the moment? If you ask me, Rigathi Gachagua supported, let's begin with Finance Bill 2024, where the Finance Bill 2023, where he even warned the opposition that they didn't have the numbers and therefore they should not even dream of opposing that bill. It is true. But then, after passing that bill, you remember people like the Member of Parliament, Wamaua or somebody, said that the document was so voluminous that she didn't read it, she simply passed it. And then they realized that because they passed it without reading it, inside that bill, there were things that did not go down well with them. For example, there was some levy that was affecting the avocado farmers. And when Rigathi realized that his people were complaining that he's the one who urged the members of parliament to support it, yet it was something that was being injurious to his people, he made a U-turn. For example, I remember some members of parliament chased away KRA officials who went to, train them on how to use the e-teams. And Rigathi Gachagua rushed to form a committee to try and look into the problems that are bedeviling avocado farmers. If you ask me, that was also a bit of politics, because anything that has been passed in parliament can only be taken back to parliament for review. So he wanted to manage their psychology that, I'm doing this. And I remember Gathoni Wamushaba was telling the farmers that don't be cheated. If someone is so much concerned about the finance bill, let that person take it to the National Assembly so that we can discuss it. But then Rigathi was concerned genuinely that this backfired on him. And that is when I think he made a U-turn. Because later in the Finance Bill 2024, he didn't support it. Another thing that became a thorn in his flesh was the demolition of houses. Rigathi believes, and I don't know how true it is, that majority of landlords in Nairobi come from Mount Kenya. I don't have the statistics, so I won't comment. But Rigathi said that he was the one who was put in charge of the Nairobi River. And William Ruto knew very well that a time would come that Rigathi would be, by nature of his job, would be the one presiding over demolitions of the houses. I remember after the floods, those who had built near riverbanks had to suffer because their houses were demolished. There's this argument that the very, very houses that are built near riverbanks in the posh estates like Lavington, all those areas were never touched. But in Eastlands, houses went down. So Rigathi refused, and he later negated, and he went and said that we campaigned on a platform of protecting our hustlers. Because I remember William Ruto was saying that in his government, he would not want a situation where you come from job, and then when you reach your place, you realize that you are shocked that the building had been brought down. You meet your utensils here and there. It is true William Ruto had promised. And Rigathi Gachagua later decided that he was not going to support such policies like demolishing houses. And therefore, my conclusion is this, and I'm saying mine, you are entitled to yours. Rigathi first supported the finance bill, the punitive taxes he supported. But later, when he realized that it was not resonating well with these people, he made a U-turn. That's why he decided to speak about it. As to what happened in the cabinet, I'm not a member, I don't know. But from what he's saying and from what he has been accused of, in the cabinet, he was, telling his master the truth, saying, no, we can't do this. Kenyans won't do what? Accept it. And therefore, we must agree that he supported and later he rejected. So we use the later decision, not the former decision. And that is my conclusion. So these attempts to try and say that he's a hypocrite, I don't think so. But one thing we agree, he can also not deny that he didn't support it at first. Only after realizing that people rejected it, then he decided to, stand with the people. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is for you to decide whether Rigathi is a hypocrite or he's telling the truth, because he's saying he tells the president the truth, and that is why the president wants him out. That the president wants a cabinet that cannot challenge him. Yet, a cabinet is a place of discussion. I don't know what you think. Is Rigathi lying from the facts that are on the table? Or can you give him the benefit of doubt?